Okay, how about now? Right, good. Yeah, so apparently when you don't use Streamlabs for a while, it just forgets all your settings and disconnects everything. How are we doing, team? How are we doing, chat? Yeah, looks like it's a buggy day today. I don't know about you. There's a forecast of bugs, so we're just gonna keep our our good humor, and we're gonna forge through them. So how is everything going? Enjoy the streams, everyone. That's what I wish you all today. Enjoy the streams. All right. Yeah, new new Beativerse language. Goodness gracious. Well, it's good to see everyone again. And it's good that at least you can hear me now. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk stuff. So it has been an eventful time in the old in the Colin verse, in the real life Colin verse. The stream will be moving because the real life Colin will be moving. So we're gonna have a new studio sometime soon in the coming months. As you can imagine, that's been consuming a lot of time, which is why there was no stream yesterweek. We should have that as a word. We need that word. And I see that it's doing its normal thing where it just randomly brings the chat on the screen. You love to see it. You love to see it. And you're seeing it more and more. All right. So today is all going to be about chilling out, cracking wise, and looking up some etymologies. So we are going to make friends with Wiktionary. Because Wiktionary, if you don't know, is... well, I was going to say surprisingly good. Maybe it's not a surprise at this point, but it's got some surprisingly good etymological information. And we're going to relax. We're going to get ourselves some hot beverages, cold beverages, whatever's time of day and seasonally appropriate for you, and we're going to look up some words. And that's the plan, friends. That is the plan. All right. So, onwards. Let's begin. Let's say hi to YouTube. YouTube, welcome back. We are doing some etymologies. I don't know if you know, but etymology is kind of the best. So let's go do some etymology, shall we? How are we going to do etymology, by the way? What does that mean? Well, it means we're going to go over to the side webcam, and we are going to have two little tabs open. And actually, maybe I should reorganize these because the chat is actually showing up now. Thank you, Streamlabs. This is delightful. But let's have our notes over on the left and Wiktionary over on the right, so that the important parts of it aren't obscured. I feel a sneeze coming on too. Excuse me. I got the mic button. The mic mute button. Got a good trigger finger there. Optime. All right. I've also been teaching a lot of Latin, so I might just break into Latin, especially because we're talking about etymology. But let's do it. Yes, Vampiricon, this is VS Code. I couldn't think of anything better to just write random markdown in. And... oh, Maddie, it's a nice day there. It's a nice day here too. It's chilly, but it's sunny. We've had sunny weather for the past couple of days. It's been nice. All right, so here's our kind of game. We're going to look up the etymology of a word that we don't know. I think start with one we don't know, see if there's anything interesting to find there, and then go on a little trail and see sort of how deep the rabbit hole goes. So, chat, can I get some suggestions? Where are we going to start? Oh, thanks for all the bless yous. yeah, this has been happening to me a lot lately, where because I've been teaching. So for those of you who don't know, uh, I teach Latin and Old English as my sort of main day job these days, and I tell you, these languages they put their tendrils into everything. I'm saying optime in the middle of a conversation with like aunts and uncles who don't speak anything but English. They'll say, "Oh, I renewed my car registration this weekend. It didn't cost me a thing." I'll say optime, and they'll say, "It was a mistake sending you off to school. You've come back strange." But that is life. And also the languages sort of trigger each other sometimes. So I'll be in an Old English class and I'll say something in Latin or vice versa, and then I think, well, Old English speakers also studied Latin. At least some of them did, and yeah, maybe that's kind of appropriate. Chinese Wiktionary is really good. Ooh, yeah, we could definitely go. All right. So I'm seeing some suggestions here. I'm going to just put these down in our little doc. Broccoli. Carousel. I don't even know what that is. A stream, soap, carousel. Is that a word? Chakra. Yeah, that's a good one. That's going to be enjoyable. All right, this gives us enough to start with. This always looks wrong. This looks misspelled. Let's find out about broccoli. All right. So, Wiktionary. For those of you who don't love it, you're about to. All right. Let's see. Italian broccoli, plural of broccolo, diminutive of brocco. Okay. So let's just make a little heading here. So from Italian, broccoli, broccolo. So these are just sort of regular morphological operations. We have pluralization. We have diminutive from brocco, which is shoot, sprout. What does it also tell us here? It's also the origin. Come on, help me out here. Brocade. Not something that I have occasion to say very often. Yellow brocade bonnet. Interesting. So what is this brocade? A thick, heavy fabric into which raised patterns have been woven, originally in gold and silver. More recently, any cloth incorporating raised woven. So it's when you have a raised woven pattern. Okay, soup and stew. I'm going to put those down. Soup, stew. Clan is a good one. Let's see else. Buddha. Okay. All right. So here are our mysteries that we're going to solve. So brocco. And as a bonus, we learn what brocade means. Cool. Okay, but focus. From Latin broccus. So I'm going to take basically each language as one line here. From Latin broccus. Pointed, sharp, projecting, buck-toothed rather. Possibly of Gaulish origin. So let's give this a question mark. Gaulish origin, Proto-Celtic. What's a good abbreviation for Proto-Celtic? I think that's it. Okay, so we have Proto-Celtic, Broccus, Broccos rather. Here's our asterisk for reconstructed. Unfortunately, we have to escape it with the slash in Markdown. Broccos badger, which is also going to give us Brock, I believe. Help me out here, please, with the middle click. There we go. All right, let's see. So through Old English, as a loan into Old English, we get Brock. So this is going to be one of the few Celtic words in Old English. This is one of these weird mysteries. Given the, and I know it's very controversial and all that, but given the situation in which Old English was spoken, you would expect to see more Celtic than you see. You see a ton of Latin, not just from, some of it has to have predated the period during which Old English was separate. Some of this has to date back something to around the Proto-Germanic period, just from the sound shifts that we see in the Germanic words, and the fact that we see these loan words in all of the Germanic languages. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how little Celtic stuff there is in English. So this gives us Brock through Old English. And some Celtic language, who knows, Brythonic. That gives us Old English Brock and Modern English Brock. Cool. All right. So presumably from Gaulish, but from Proto-Celtic Broccos, we don't have a separate reconstruction in the Wiktionary corpus for Gaulish Broccos, the Gaulish reflex. But presumably it's something quite similar, given that it gives Latin Broccus. Or it gives us another possibility, Brosdos. So something Gaulish from Proto-Celtic Brosdos. Now, looking at this, the Broccos seems a lot better in terms of form, but the tip point seems better in terms of meaning. Now, maybe this is just me showing my ignorance about badgers. Let's see. All right. What's going on with badgers? Are they buck-toothed? Look at this. Look at this. I love this face. I don't know why. I love this photo. All right. North American. There are North American badgers. Now you get to see how distractible I am, in case you didn't already know. What? What? I should have met this guy. Barely. Barely I'm here. I had no idea. Wow. Wow. All right. Look at this. This reminds me, if you've ever seen a skunk, it has this kind of shape. Very dubious creature. Anyway, so let's see. Let's look at a European badger to see what they were talking about. Yeah, these are cuter. Has to be said. It has to be said. Do they have pointy buck teeth? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I could see that. I could see why you'd say buck-toothed. All right. There we go. So let's see where Broccos comes from. Does the trail end there? Broccos. Unknown. Ooh, unknown. Okay, so maybe cognate with some old High German that gives us this English, Middle English word, ratch. Fascinating. A ratch. Has anyone actually heard that word ratch before in English? Fascinating. All right. So we go from possibly badger to pointy to sprout to a little sprout to many little sprouts, and that's broccoli. Cool. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Unfortunately, the trail grows cold after Broccos, but this happens a lot in etymology. We can't always get back to our proto-language because of language contact and things like that. Contact with languages that we don't know anything else about. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So, broccoli. Let's look at stream. Now, this is going to be a Germanic. This is going to be Germanic time. All right, so stream. Stream is going to be directly from Old English. So from Old English, how did I do it before? Yeah, from Old English straum. And when you see this a vowel here, in Old English, that's usually from a Proto-Germanic ow. Not always, but often. So here is our Proto-Germanic straumas. Straumas. And this is going to come from Proto-Indo-European stromos. Stromos. From the root, sreu. Okay. So fairly simple thus far. Sreu. Sreu does sound like a Middle Chinese word. Sreu. So sreu, and we're going to have our S mobile. S mobile. Sreu. So to flow. And then we get great things like sravati in Sanskrit. Reo. To flow. So here we have it without the... Actually, I don't even think we need to do that because the SR is going to become HR in Hellenic, so we're good. Reo. Cool. I am... Oh dear. That's unpleasant. Yeah, I'm beginning my journey with Greek currently. It's been interesting. One of the things that I find difficult about learning ancient Greek is that much more so than Latin, everyone seems to use a different pronunciation scheme. So you have some people using, a lot of people online actually are using the sort of 2nd century AD-ish pronunciation, whereas my instinct is to use something a lot earlier just because it's more useful for comparative purposes. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we're getting a question about not Sinitic, about Slavic cognates. Conscripts, not publicly. Not publicly. I have made some in my day, but I haven't ever put them online or anything. Lucy, on the other hand, has. Let's see. Struja. Stream. Interesting. Old Church Slavonic. Something I know very little about. All right, so we have this sreu root. We can go back, which also gives us, so sreu also gives us Greek hreo, flow. Cool. And Sanskrit. So you know what? For the benefit of people who are who don't read Greek or Devanagari, I'm going to put the Sanskrit and Greek in romanization. Sravati, flow. Cool. And yeah, and of course these are going to be derived from different derivatives. So here we have sromos, which has a little suffix and is in a different grade in the root. But nevertheless, you can see sromos, straumas. So we have this epenthetic T here, the O becoming an ow, and then the familiar os to as, change in Germanic, straumas. Then to get from there to Old English is pretty simple. We lose the suffix. What happens in after Proto-Germanic is we basically take all of these unstressed syllables, and then if they are short, delete the vowel. If they are long, make it a short vowel. So we go from straumas to straum, and then au to al in Old English. Al. This is a strange diphthong, very strange diphthong, but you can sort of see what happened. Au, instead of going all the way up to that high back vowel, au, it starts that back part of the second part of the diphthong starts lower and lower and lower until it goes from au to al, which seems to be roughly what it was, al. And then later in its history, that al merges with a, long front, a, and then that raises up and eventually becomes a to, well, eventually e, where we have it today, stream. Although that vowel in particular is a big mess in the early modern period. So there's a lot of stuff. Oops, chat explosion. Interesting. Yeah, Albanian. I would like to have, you know what I love? I love this. Someone once told me this phrase, the bluffer's guide. The bluffer's guide to so-and-so. I would like to know enough Albanian to be able to pronounce things. That would be kind of fun. All right. Anything else interesting in here? Srovos. Interesting. Okay, so we have... Let's see if I can polish some of my Russian pronunciation here. Ostrov. I think. Ostrov. Yeah, something like that. Which gives us island. Interesting. Interesting. I know we must have some Russian speakers in the chat. Does this come as a surprise? All right, let's see what else. Anything else? Sruta. Emptying, flowing. Yeah, so it looks like we've got a... okay, here's one. Here's one. This will be fun. Rhythmos. Rhythmos. Which gives us rhythm. So stream and rhythm are... Well, they're not cognates, but they're distant relations. Excellent. All right. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. All caps PASGIAW. We are on Wiktionary after all. We could just look it up. And if Wiktionary has kept up its... but unfortunately it does not give us IPA on Albanian. Alas. Alas. Well, there you have it. Stream. Cognate with. Not cognate with, but related to. Rhythm. Ostrov. And what was our... A repeating regular motion. Although it looks like rhythmos has a ton of other meanings as well. Oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared to learn Greek, friends. I'm so scared. Fun. Right. Okay. Well, I think we can close the case on stream now. And let's look at... Ooh, so. The, like so. This so. Yes. Well, I can tell you right away that schwa, the Old English schwa, is going to be our first port of call. But that's going to take us into some other things. Ooh, what's the etymology of peninsula? This I can give you right now. Peninsula. Paine, insula, almost island. That's a fun one. But what's the etymology of paine? Oh, interesting. Interesting. It comes from this. So we've accidentally gone down a rabbit hole here, but Paine Insula, almost island. But Paine, from this root, I'm not going to do the subscripts. It's just too much work. From our lovely Proto-Indo-European root, peh one, hate, hurt. That's very interesting that it would go... It's interesting that it doesn't have it the other way around, but... oh, this is going to be fun. But if it comes from this root, I'd like to know a little bit about how hate or hurt became almost or nearly. But let's look at the Germanic cognate here. The Germanic cognate is fun. Fians. fians, which is going to give us found in Old English and fiend in modern English. So fians, enemy. Ooh, that's cool. That's very cool. Clemmy's asking, why use this software, not a standard text editor? Because I'm much more comfortable in VS Code than I am in Google Docs or Word. You've seen me on stream struggle with the hotkeys and things of Google Docs. I'm a lot faster and more comfortable in VS Code. So the paine in Peninsula is presumably distantly related to fiend. And does the insula have anything to tell us? And then we'll get to soap. So we need the Latin. Okay. So from Proto-Italic, insula. Insula of unknown origin. The resemblance to ancient Greek neesos and Proto-Celtic enisti appears to be purely accidental. Coincidence. Interesting. What is very interesting is the quality of these non-initial vowels in Latin, how they come about. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime. It's quite interesting. What happened was Latin at one point, presumably, this is the theory anyway. So we know the stress pattern of Latin. Well, if we know it, we've heard the rule where it's the stress is on the penultimate syllable if that syllable is heavy, or on the antepenultimate syllable otherwise. So insula, but periculum and amatus. Amatus. So long second syllable, a long penultimate syllable, stress gets on the penultimate. But at an earlier point, it appears that the stress in Latin was initial, like it is reconstructive of Proto-Germanic. And the reason that we think this is because, so say you have a word like facere, to do, you can add a, I'd rather not do that one. What would be a good one? Okay. Salio, to leap. But to leap back, you think would be resalio. But actually it's resilio. So you get neutralization of vowel qualities in these non-initial syllables. And that would make a lot of sense if they were unstressed. But actually in classical Latin, resilio, this is stressed. So it's very strange why this would have changed. And you see this, you see a lot of, a, e, o, u neutralizing two different vowels, depending on the environment, when they're not initial. And this often happens with these with these prefixed verbs. Or, arma, weapons. Oops. But unarmed is actually inermis. So you see this neutralization going on. It's more interesting, though, in the case of resilio, because this is stressed. So why would it be neutralizing when it was stressed? Well, because it wasn't originally stressed. Presumably it was originally resilio. Right. Okay, so moving on. I don't know, how did I get on that topic? Soap. Let's talk about soap. It's because of insula. Yeah, so the U here is a result of that neutralization. L tends to pull things back to U when you have a following L in Latin, which is taken as evidence that the L was velarized in most positions in Latin. Anyway, soap. Let's see. This OA is leading me. Often when you have an OA, you're going to get a long A in Old English. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, there we go. Sape. And the long A often comes from a Proto-Germanic I. Diphthong I. AI. So, OE sape. Soap. Salve. From Proto-Germanic Saipol. Saipon, actually. Saipon. That's a hard one to type on this keyboard. Which is coming from, this is our Proto-Germanic, so it has to be reconstructed. Same with the Proto-Indo-European, which is coming from this root sape. Fascinating. Saipon. And unfortunately, Wiktionary, this is a dead end for us, although maybe sometimes when you go to the reconstructed one, no. But it is cognate with Latin sebum. So this is going to give us Latin sebum, which is used still medically to this day. Tallow grease. Okay. Interesting. Let's see, people always ask me, why do you have a trillion tabs open? And I turn around and say, my question is, why don't you? Interesting. Okay, and then we have this Latin sapo, which is a loanword from Germanic, sapo, which gives us all of our romance, all of the fun words for soap we have in romance. Cool. All right. So presumably the saipon was loaned into Latin after this diphthong I has been smoothed out to ah, which it, as you can see, it does get. This happens in Old English, sape. Interesting. It also gives us Old English sap. Unfortunately, this is a dead end. Too bad. Okay. So that's soap for you. All right, let's put in a break for YouTube and go back over here. YouTube, what fun. Come back for more etymology, because this is what it's all about. Sitting back, drinking a tea, looking up some stuff on Wiktionary. I don't know. I can't think of anything I'd rather do. See you next time. Yeah, RZ, this happened while you were looking. This, oops, Wrong button. This nonsense all happened while you were watching. Goodbye. All right. So, get back down to 1. All right, let's look at the chat, see what's going on. Yeah, I do have a problem with tabs. I also have another browser open that has about probably 70 or so. I shouldn't do these things. But I do them. That's life. Anyway, how's everyone doing today? I'm very glad that we got to stream again. And I like this. This is a very chill stream. I thought I want to do a chill stream because I've been burning the candle at both ends lately. And I thought, well, what could we do? And I thought, well, what would I like to do to relax? Go on a Wiktionary rabbit hole. And I thought, maybe you'd like that as well. And so far, it seems that at least 30 or so of you do. Excellent. All right, let's see. I'm going to wait for the chat to come in before I go back into the side cam and welcome YouTube back. Very, very good. Yes. It's really taking its time. Chat. Update. There we go. What is my name's etymology? Okay. Yes, you're right. So Colin is... Actually, let's do a segment. So we can look at the etymology of Colin. YouTube, welcome back. People have been asking, they want to know, what is the etymology of my name? What is the etymology of Colin? So let's jump in, because this is an interesting question. Side webcam, here we go. So Colin has 2 potential etymologies. One is from Old French, and one is through Gallic. So, well, we could do SG, let's say. So OF, SG. So, Old French, and actually, see, what would that nasal vowel be? Colin, something like that, Colin. Depending on exactly when we're talking, which is a diminutive of Col, which is a shortening of Nicole, which is from Greek Nikolaos. So let's start there. Oh yeah, it's going to come through Latin. So let's give that its due. Ni go la us, which is of course going to come from Greek. So Greek, and we're going to do it in romanization, get all of our vowel qualities correct. What is Nikolaos? Well, it comes from, let's see if I can do this. No, I can't. Nike, victory, and Laos, people. So victory, people. Nice diathematic name. All right. And then we can trace these further back. So Nike, or Nike rather, unknown origin. And Laos from Laos. So Greek loses its lovely w written with the digamma. So that's why you get instead of what's the word? I don't remember how to stress it. Is it Oinos? Yes, Oinos, which was originally Oinos, which looks a lot more like winum, wine. So, yeah. A lot of Greek words make more sense comparatively when you put back the missing W's. Another one would be oikos, which comes from oikos, which then makes the cognate vicus in Latin a lot more sensible. Anyway, neither here nor there. Laos from Proto-Indo-European lehtuos. Never know how best to pronounce that stuff, those laryngeals, but nevertheless, there we are. Oops, I'm still in Greek. I know some people try to keep the laryngeals distinct when they say them, but I think that is very difficult to do. It's not difficult to do, but it's difficult to have people hear. So I've taken to just saying the twos and threes and so forth. All right, so Quain, that means a lot to me. I've been practicing. In my Greek class, we use a later pronunciation, but I can't shake the Attic reconstructed. All right, so then, yeah, people under arms. Interesting. From lehtu, military action. Interesting. Let's see. Ooh, some nice Anatolian cognates there. So what else do we have? We have some interesting things here. To bark, howl, that's not the right one. To be concealed, that's not the right one. Where's our military campaign? I don't seem to see it. Well, color me confused. That's strange. All right. Now, I guess that's the end of that. Poor Wiktionary. Sometimes it doesn't have everything, but it's got a lot. Got a lot. So it's interesting. You look at Laos. Here you have people, the people assembled, the soldiers, the common people, as opposed to leaders or priests. So this at least tracks with the proposed etymology for military action. Where took this in Adams? Encyclopedia of Indo-European Culture. Not familiar with that work. All right, so anyway, Colin, that's one possible etymology. The second is from Gallic Callan. Which comes from, likely from Kulan. Whelp, pup. Yeah, puppy. So, and this is, of course, from, of course, I say of course as if this is obvious, which it is not. Kulenos, whelp, so Proto-Celtic. Kulenos. And this is going to be from our Proto-Indo-European root, which gives us canis. So here's our dog root. Quo. Okay. So this is going to give us, through some complicated root, kulenos, and that's going to give us kulan, and that's going to give us kalan, and that's going to give us Colin. So you can sort of choose your own adventure. Either Colin is a puppy, or Colin is victory people. Now I know which one I choose. I prefer to interpret it as victory people, but again, choose your own adventure. And Gorrie is an interesting one. Not to be too, egocentric, just focusing on etymology of my own name, but this is an interesting one because it is, it takes us from Gaelic, so through Gaelic from Old Norse. We don't have it here, do we? Ah, okay. So something like this. Mach Gorrie, son of I'm only going to be able to pronounce this in Irish. But Gohra, which is an anglicized a Gallicized form of the personal name Godfrey, which comes to us from, or probably not from Godfrey itself, probably from the Old Norse version, which is going to be something like where is it? Goldfreither or something like that. I don't know. My Old Norse is not a thing, really. But let's see if I can find the Old Norse. Oops, no. Let's see if we can find the Old Norse. Gold. Yeah, so something like this. Gold, and then I'm just going to find the Old Norse by going through the Old English that I know better. Fridu. Oops, no, I'll have to go all the way back to ProtoGermanic. Fridus. And then we can have, where's our Old Norse? Frider. So likely something like this. Godfrider, God, peace. So likely something like that. Yeah, I tried to do the Gaelic version of Mach, but I've forgotten what happens to that ADH ending. I think it's or something like that. For me, the Irish I learned is just a schwa. All right. Macaulay. Now that's an idea. All right. So that's that. Okay. I saw Crozzle in the thing. I don't even know what this is, so I'm going to have to look it up. A brick deformed by excessive heating during its manufacture. And we are getting no luck with etymology here. So we have to search elsewhere. Okay. Let's take some bets on this. Well, not bets, but let's try and come up with an idea. Where do we think this is from? Crozzle. This to me looks pretty. If I were to guess, if I didn't know anything about this word, I would say this is a modern blend of something that starts with cur and something that ends with ozel, like nozzle. But given that it means a brick deformed, let's see if we have. Okay, 1914 is our first attestation in this dictionary. I think 1914 is perhaps a little early for blends to be gaining popularity. Maybe this is something. Okay, so if it's not a blend, then I would guess it's something that comes from. I want to say Dutch. I don't know. I don't know why I get this. We have Dutch speakers, right? Is there anything? Does this light up anything in your mind? No. All right. Let's continue the search. So crozzle, a brick deformed by excessive heating during its manufacture. Sometimes I feel like a bit of a crozzle. Yeah. Crozzle etymology. Oh, Scots. Look at this. Look at this. I think we found it. We found something. Oh, sorry. I topped at the mic there. I think we found it. Crozzle. To crouch. Contract the body in sitting. Applied to one who sits bowed together over the fire. Compare English dialectal crozzle to curl up with heat, perhaps cognate with German kräuseln. To curl, to frizzle. Let's see what else we have. Interesting. Fascinating. So maybe. See, these are the words that in English always. There are quite a few of them. You look at their etymologies and it says, we don't know, but all these other Germanic languages have words like this. So that it has to have come from somewhere, but we have really no idea. So I'm going to write unknown, but Scots, presumably Krusel, crouch, German Kräuseln, curl, frizzle, Norwegian dialectal. Norwegian speakers, can anyone IPA me this? Am I going to be too far off if I say krusla? Or is this use something else? So let's take the German and see if we can get anywhere with that. Kräuseln has to come from isn't it Kreise? I know it from Yiddish, Kreis. So sometimes when Yiddish doesn't have a schwa, German does. Kräuseln. Auskrausen. Kraus. It's interesting how the organization of Wiktionary is different in different languages. Wait, have I just missed the etymology? Herkunft. All right, let's see what we get here. My German is eh. Oh, look at all of these. So it's getting us all the way back to a root, graus, from ger. Huh. Well, I closed all of the tabs, and then I've opened up lots more. This is how I do it. I never click the left button on anything. I always just middle click, middle click, middle click. Interesting. So it looks like we've got a very... Look at all of these different forms in different Germanic languages. Kruzla. So this is basically exactly what the dialectal Norwegian format gives us. PGMC Kruzla. Interesting. Interesting. So let's just put down, we have this graus. Grus. Let's see if we get anywhere with this in the English Wikipedia. How do we do this? Sorry, let me just... Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. As I'm cleaning up these tabs, it says that kulenos is not from Proto-Indo-European ku, which seems maybe a bit... What? Huh. Well, okay. I guess Wiktionary says so. That's bizarre. Okay, I shouldn't lose focus. But that's bizarre. Oh, it's not going to open to the page. Okay, never mind then. We don't have time for that. What were we doing? Oh yeah, I was looking up... How do I get to the protoforms? Oh yeah, I have to do reconstruction. That's it. Proto-Indo-European graus. Ger? I don't know. I'm failing here. Oh, people heading out. Happy trails. I don't see who was leaving. Just say everyone's saying bye. Well, I'll say bye too. Old Chinese ko. Yeah, I mean there could be some onomatopoeic thing going on there with dog. I mean that does make sense. Ku, ko, kolenos. I was sure that was coming from, that was inherited. Although it does say maybe. Okay. Well, I think we may be at the end of the line because I'm not sure exactly what this root they're referring to in the German dictionary is. Where did we find it? Oh no, it was in the, here it is. Gekröse. I just want to get to the page where no, we are not in any luck. Ger. P-I-E root grouse. No one else seems to be talking about grouse. This is like a big conspiracy. Yep. Yeah. Good challenge, Krosel. Well done. Okay. Well, heavens to Betsy. Let's see. Let's do something else. We need a word for these things that are, I'll just come to full screen. We need a word for these words that are etymologically mysterious, but there are like 70 different Germanic cognates for them, but none of them seem to tie directly into each other. It's just sort of vague family resemblances. Cruiselon. Yeah. So let's, oh, I'll go back to the side webcam. Let's give this its full form. Cruiselon, which is grus, gurus. So this is a curl. And we're in this like kind of non-core Indo-European roots where things are like a little bit messier and that people don't write them the same way in different sources. But nevertheless, we have something like, we have grouse, grus, gurus, which is not a root, which gives us this Persian word. Gors, I'm assuming. Okay, but then look at this. Here we have a blatant contradiction. Gors, it says, yes, of course, it's the same source as Persian gors, from Proto-Indo-European gurus, right? But then look at here. This says it's from Proto-Indo-European wolkos, and derives it from Middle Persian wars, from Proto-Iranian walshah. So clearly there's something going on here. Don't believe everything you read. I think that's all I'll say. At least this has a citation. This also has a citation. Oh, if only I could read Dutch. Okay, well, fine. Duckweed. Interesting. So frozen? Why is everything frozen? No. Okay. I'm going to put in a cut here because it looks like my computer's complaining. I'll be right. Well, I'll be right. Well, no, first of all, I'll say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, thanks for joining us. Etymology, fun. You knew this already, though. See you next time. And I will be right while I close some windows, some tabs even. Okay. I think that worked. I closed a bunch of things. Friends, oh, thank you so much for joining us. We are in etymology mode. We are having a very good time. Maybe now that I have fewer things open, the chat will behave a little bit better. No, chat, you know, the people in the chat are behaving very well, but the chat takes its time to show up. All right. So it's the tabs. It's the tab. Yeah. All of my poor habits, all my wrongdoing is coming back to haunt me. All right. We've got some more things to do. So first of all, I'm just going to check in with the chat. How is everyone? I dare say it. This may be a good solution. Maybe I shouldn't say it too soon. We'll see. Nope. I don't think so. It's still choking on the chat. Alas, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, let's get in and do some more etymology. We've got some more things that have been requested to look at. This is fun because I didn't know half of these. Okay. All right. Next up is chakra. Quick wait for the chat to catch up. Goodness, it's taking its time today. Well, that's fine. No, the chat is lovely. Hey, chat, welcome back. Okay, so let's keep going. YouTube, welcome back. We are doing etymologies. We're doing what needs to be done, which is hang out, relax. Again, we're cracking Ys left and right here. And we are going through and we are looking up etymologies on Wiktionary.org, among other sites. And yeah, it's pretty good. So let's jump in and let's look up chakra. So this is a fun one. I know this one, but let's share the love. So chakra, which is a Sanskrit loanword from chakra, which means wheel, circle, point. Now that's the chakra is the classical stress-based system. What's the accentuation on in Vedic? It's chakra, chakram, could be neuter or masculine. So by the time you get to classical Sanskrit, you have a more stress-based accent system, very similar to the Latin. But in Vedic, you have the pitch accent system. So chakra. And this is wheel, circle, point, or lots of other things. Also the name of a poetic meter. That's kind of interesting. Right. So, but the core meaning is wheel. So let's see where this comes from. Oh, did you see what he just did? He just opened a new tab. Can Proto-Indo-European be lexergied to modern English? You could do it, but the problem is that the neo-grammarian model of regular sound change is kind of an idealization. And even when you go from Old English to modern English, I think Alex Foreman did a thread about this once, where if all of the sound changes in English were regular, half of the words would look completely different. So, and this is because languages, you have phenomena like lexical diffusion, where a sound change doesn't go through the entire language, or you get sound changes that sort of go partially through the entire language, then stop. You get dialect mixing, you get all sorts of crazy stuff going on. So, yes, the sound changes do apply, but, there's a big asterisk afterwards. And then, so if you went from Proto-Indo-European to modern English, you'd probably get, like 3 words that actually were regular after going through all of that. Okay, so you have chakra. And then you have the Proto-Indo-European word kweklos. Which actually, if we're going by the version ancestral to the Sanskrit, we would have kweklom. If we're assuming the neuter version in Sanskrit, kweklom, wheel, circle, which is a derivative of this root quel. Turn. Now, what happens with quel? There are other things here that are of interest to us. Telos, end, like telic verbs, right? Goodness, whenever you look up something in ancient Greek, it's got like 20 different meanings. Oh boy. Anyway, lots of other interesting words. So Latin cultus, turn, yeah, so what is turned is cultus. I suppose through the meaning having been tilled. So you have to turn the soil in order to do that, I'm assuming. I'm not a farmer. I don't know if anyone, if I project farmer, but yeah, no. So quel, turn, which is going to give us cultus, which is going to give us telos, which is going to give us what else? Человек. Oh, okay, this is really interesting. The человек, person. I believe, yeah, person. So let's get so this is Latin cultus, Greek telos, Russian человек. And why? Why? Well, funny you should ask. So quel, to turn, to roll, to travel, settle, cultivate town. So this is presumably this same path that gives us cultus. So you roll on into town and cultivate it, I guess. I don't know. And then this gives us squel or quel, which means crowd or people. Now we're getting quite distant from turn. And then the second part is waikas, which is they're connecting with wake, which is, I think, the thing that gives us woikos and wikus, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Or is it a different one? It's giving me curve, bend, I don't know. Separate, choose, contain, envelop, overcome. I feel like we're in a more distant when the links start showing up as red, you're in a more distant land. And I think it's a good thing to sort of be wary of Wiktionary when you see more red links on the page. All right, so then I'm not going to try and explain this Waikas because I do not understand it. But nevertheless, the Kela is going to give us Cella in Čelověk. Great. Cultivated, telos, and person. But let's talk more narrowly about kweklos, which is going to give us ancient Greek kyklos. Kyklos, cycle, or wheel, right? Cycle. That's our derivation of it. So this is coming from the differently accented masculine form kweklos rather than kweklom. Right, so that is made clear here. And where is our Germanic? Huechlon. Huechlon. What is this going to give us? Wheel. Huechlon. So this is going to give wheel in English. I'm getting very lazy with how I... Huechlon. Of course, the English... I say of course. Why do I say of course? There's nothing of course about it. However, the English comes from the plural huelo, apparently. That's interesting. Interesting. So we'll just cut that out of the cut that slightly out of the equation, because there's some complications with the plural, which apparently comes from an Indo-European collective noun. Fun. Hueflon. Kyklos. Takram. Fun. Okay, so that's chakra. Now let's do soup and stew. Okay, out of your... Let's take the temperature before we go. Soup or stew? What do you think is going to have the more interesting etymology? Whether you are whether your team stew or your team soup, we can set that aside. What do you think, regardless of whether you love a delicious stew on a cold winter's day, it just warms you up and it just teaches you that there is good in the world, and that if you put in the hard work ahead of time to slowly cook the meal, you can have something glorious by dinner time? Or do you like some soup? We can put that aside, and we can just try and focus on what the better etymology is. I'm stalling for time while the chat catches up here. And now for some reason it's totally frozen. Maybe we should switch streaming software. I have no idea. I don't know if this would also happen in anything else. Just when I ask a question to the chat, that's when it's just like, chat, boom, no thank you, we're not going to be showing for a few minutes. Oh, that's all right. I'll just sit back and have some tea. Oh, tea is great. Whoa, okay, that was like 500 messages. Okay. All right, we're getting soup. We're getting stew. We even have a vote for soap in there. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. Side webcam. Let's start with soup because, you know, you should always start with the one that you think is going to lose for purposes of dramatic. All right, soup. Do you ever have a word that you just look at it and it makes you laugh the way it's spelled? Soup. Why do I laugh at these things? I don't know. Okay, soup. So this is going from Old French soupa, from Late Latin suppa, from Proto-Germanic suppon. So let's take a look at this. Suppo. So this is this, if you're wondering about this circumflex, this is to mark the reconstruction of overlong vowels in Proto-Germanic. Suppo. Suppo. Some people don't like that, but we'll go with it. Soup. What? There's no possible way that that could be pronounced differently from S-O-U-P, S-O-O-P. But for some reason, I want to pronounce it slightly differently and say soup. All right. And supo comes from this root. Okay, no, this is wrong. So this is something that I think Wiktionary eventually should look at, which is, yes, seu, wetness, moisture, rain, juice, flow. You click on it, to bear a child, to give birth. No. So let's see if we can find... Oops, sorry, I keep going back and forth. I mean, that may very well be the same root. I don't know enough to say, but the fact that it gives you a completely different gloss that has seemingly nothing to do with what you're looking for is a problem. And here, again, we have su, which is given as a reconstructed long vowel, and then you go here and it's given with a laryngeal afterward, which makes sense because that's where the long vowel would have come from, but still. And it gives us, again, to give birth and swine. So I think we are slightly confused here. No, that's Proto-Celtic. Sow. Yeah, SOOP should be an overlong vowel. Soup. If you go on Wiktionary page for pi, says that has the vowel A. Yeah, Latin sus. Right, so that would be sus, suinus, svinia, swino, swine, sow, all of these derivatives. Sadly, this is not very helpful. Let's see if sometimes what you can do is you can look at a cognate and it'll give you a better etymology. This is sort of Wiktionary power user tips. Zuppa. No, that's giving us from the same place. Sad. Oh, unfortunately, maybe if we go to poor. Nope, it's not there. Alas, 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 alas. Of course, this is son. So this makes sense from the root to give birth. So, suhnus or suhnus, which gives us Old English sunu. But sadly, no dice. And Greek, huios, which is going from suhius. But looks like we are at a loss. We want the root seu, wetness, but no existe. Does not exist. Yeah. So it's not a problem that there are different analyses. It's just a problem that Wiktionary's format sort of, it's done for modern languages originally, where there really usually is one form. It doesn't deal well with hypotheses. And the fact that it uses the form as its URL is inherently limiting, because if there are different hypotheses on the same form, how do you relate them? There's no principled way of doing it. So that's why I think this is not the best format for this kind of dictionary, for like a historical etymological dictionary. But I don't mean to rain on its parade. It does an excellent job. It's the founder of our feast, so to speak. It's the reason that we can do this today. So it's certainly been of great help to me. So there's the end of our trail for soup. Let's see if we can. Let's see if the German dictionary can help us. Right. Okay, so then what would be German speakers? What's a cognative? What's a descendant or a reflex of Supo in German? I could answer that question myself, probably. Suppe. Makes sense. Just wanted to make sure that didn't just come from French. Where did it go? Although it is influenced by French, apparently. All right, let's see what we have. Seu, su. Yeah, so seu. Let's see if we can get that. Reconstruction, Proto-Indo-European. Seu. Nope. No such luck. Su. Su. And it just gives us pig. Alas. Yeah, Meredith, I completely agree. It's really weird to just have things based on the Romanized or the orthographic form and then have subsections for different languages, especially if you do something like be, which is going to be in like 5 trillion languages. And every time poor Colin has to Scroll down to Old English. As you can see, I've been here before. Yeah, very strange. But I can see why. I can see why they did it. Okay, so soup. That's what we've got so far. Let's look up stew. Oh, what's fun about the etymology of stew is you end up finding out that certain foods in different Romance-speaking countries are cognates with the word stew. Kind of fun. All right, so let's see. Stew. From, so Middle English. Well, let's just skip Middle English and go to Old French, Anglo-Norman estuve, Old French estive, bath, from medieval Latin stupa, or stufa, presumably at that point. Perhaps from dun 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 vulgar Latin, the thing that you're not supposed to say anymore. Extufare. So this is a reconstruction. I'm just going to call it Latin. Which is a morphological derivation of ex and typos. So a Greek loan word. Typos. Don't aspirate that. Steam. So it comes from a word for a bath. So it's like you're giving the food a bath. Oh, hi, Alethea. Yes. Okay. Soup, soak, and succulent. So, oh, interesting. It has the schwas. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you can do that. If you go from the address bar, you could just do Old English, type it up there, but I'm lazy sometimes. All the time, maybe. Okay, so we have, let's follow the trail back to typos. Typhus would be our English derivative there. Not a derivative really alone. So a kind of fever. So maybe this doesn't come from the noun, because that seems a bit far-fetched. To smoke, or typos, fever. So smoked out. Presumably this also means to fill with smoke. So mist, smoke, haze. Ah, here we go. Here's the good stuff. Thou. Keep that laryngeal in there. Mist, smoke, haze. So, and look, I think this is kind of interesting. Soup's ultimate origin is in wetness. And stew's ultimate origin is in mist. Extufare. But what I find interesting, and this is kind of fun, is there's a dish, estofado, which I'll show you. And I'm pretty sure they probably have this in all sorts of different Spanish-speaking countries. And then some. But the one I'm familiar with is this one, the Peruvian one, which is delicious. And then you learn estofado is cognate with stew. And then it's like, oh, of course it is. It's a stew. Why not, right? All right, so Meredith, you're a genius. Oh my goodness. You may not know what these are. These are called picarones, and they are heavenly. They are kind of little, they're kind of like donuts, but they have this sauce which is made from like a trillion ingredients, this sweet kind of sauce that they drizzle on them, and you can get them in the park, and you can run away from bees as they accost you to try and get that sweet syrup that they put on them. Oh my goodness, it's really good. Okay, sorry. I'm hungry right now. I don't know if you can tell. So, to conclude our discussion of stew versus soup, topic which will truly never be concluded, soup has its origin in a kind of wet food, and stew has its origin in a kind of food that you give a bath to. Although hopefully you don't get typhus from it. That would be a negative outcome. All right. All right, where are we? I think we'll probably only have time to do one more. So clan is a good one. This is a very good etymology. I'm out of tea. Oh, the Dutch is... Let's see. Stove? Yes, it is. Wait a second. Wait a second, but... Okay, wait. What? What? If Dutch stove, meaning stove, is cited as coming from extufare, we also have this possible Proto-Germanic source, stubo, which would be the source of the Yiddish Stiebel. Foot stove. Wait a second. So we have two equally possible explanations for this that work also for English stove. Oh dear. My brain is hurting. Stova, bathroom, stoof bath, hot air bath. And here we see the contention that the Germanic words are very old and are the source of the Slavic and Romance terms. It is often speculated that Germanic terms were borrowed from Vulgar Latin ex stufa, extufare, to heat with steam from ancient Greek. But it doesn't give us any closure on that. Oh, stove? Oh, interesting. That's interesting. I thought that it is it wrongly guiding me here? Is this a difference in regional pronunciation? Or is this one of these extremely broad transcriptions where, you know, yeah, it's a long O, but O. Stove. Cool. I'm going to have to learn Dutch at some point. I got to get all the Germanic languages eventually. Huh. Okay, well, I said I was going to do clan, so let me do clan. Clan is interesting. I'll show you why. So it's borrowed from Irish clown. Offspring, family. which goes from, or maybe Gaelic, etc. But this comes from Old Irish cland. Again, my Old Irish, it's not so. But nevertheless, this is coming from Old Welsh plant, because P Celtic, Q Celtic, right? The P in Old Welsh is presumably known to the Old Irish speakers to correspond to a C in their language. So, plant, cland. And this is taken from Latin planta, which is the source of our plant. There's also a Greek stifado. Stifado, is it? May I intervene? Stuba? Stiebel. Yeah, Stiebel would be a close one to the Yiddish, which does mean etymologically little room. That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna put a break in here, or I think I'll hang up my hat actually because it's getting kind of late. This has been fun. This is a crazy idea I just had yesterday. Let's chill and do etymologies, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'm going to come back to the full screen webcam. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been, as I just said, I guess, a lot of fun. So come back next time. We'll do some more. We'll do some Colin. We'll do some messing around of Wiktionary. We'll do something. But we'll see you next time. Okay. I'm going to just come back and talk to you, friends. Romka's saying, oh, you don't know, so it's just super broad. Interesting. This is something I also don't like. And I'll put it back here because you can see Latin does a good job. You know, whether you agree with these reconstructions, it tells you how to interpret this information. Whereas if you have an extremely broad transcription, you know, you not only need that dictionary, but you need to know how to translate that into phones, which is not always a simple matter. Oh, okay. Yes. This has been fun. Quain, Chinese etymology session. That would be amazing. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining again. This has been, as I keep saying, this has been fun. So what would I do to relax? This. And so now you know well, I feel like you already knew the extent of my nerdiness, but if there was any doubt, hopefully that's been cleared up today. Okay, well. Vobis omnibus gratias ago, ich eu allum thankas do,